Yay Networks.
Welcome to another episode of Plastic Surgery Uncensored. I'm your host, Dr. Rady Rahban, and do we have a show for you today? We're going to be talking about one of my favorite, most passionate topics, which is diastasis recti. For those of you who are not familiar, that's the muscle separation that occurs in women who have had children, hence creating all kinds of havoc in their bodies, not just aesthetically, but physically. More importantly, we're going to be talking about the online world of gimmicks and vulnerable patients and sort of claims regarding DR and correcting it. I'm really lucky to have Lisa, a former patient of mine who underwent a abdominoplasty journey in DR correction, who has her own blog, Money Fit Moms, a financial blog, who's wrote a blog about her journey, only to find out that her images were stolen to be used to sell products that are claiming to do the correction that her surgery did. So you want to tune in and listen. Welcome to the show, Lisa. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm disappointed about the circumstances that brought us here, which is why I really appreciate this opportunity to kind of right the wrongs out there and prevent vulnerable women from falling into these traps that I've realized are absolutely everywhere. So I'm really excited to be here and talk about this topic because I'm passionate.
So, the purpose of the show is just education. We're not here to slam anybody or make anyone feel bad about what they're doing or whatever. We're here to just call it as it is. And the reality is that DR or diastasis is a condition that affects, I would argue, almost 90% of women who've had children. Because the basic principle is that you've had a child, and as a result of having a single child, there is some degree of muscle tear. And then the question then becomes, is it debilitating? Does it cause cosmetic deformities? And with every subsequent pregnancy, it gets worse. So it isn't some little something or some esoteric issue. And as we both know, the internet and now social media is inundated with products and claims and taking advantage of people, selling them, snake oil and things of that nature. So let's start back up. First of all, where are you? Where do you live?
I'm in California, Northern California, the Bay
Northern
Area.
Cal. Okay, I love it. So you had, tell me a little about your journey in terms of just the DR so we can set the background of who you are and kids and what surgery, et cetera.
Yes. So I started to feel pain and tearing while I was pregnant. Fast forward to when you performed my surgery, we found out that even it had torn through to layers of the fat by the time I'd had my third boy. But it started even with my first, and not being, my first pregnancy. I just thought, oh, I guess, pregnancy is painful, right? And then once I had my first son, all of which were pretty big boys, I had 3 large babies, it sort of like bubbled in between my abdominal muscles. So right away I knew something was off, and that's kind of when I learned the term, and I found that there are some exercises, but ultimately I knew that surgery would probably be the best option for me. And so all I could really do was manage symptoms in the meantime, because I knew I wanted to have more kids. And so turns out with each child, it got progressively worse. And every time it was painful, I could physically feel tearing. And to the point where when I was pregnant with my third, I even started wearing KT tape at the very top where I could feel it, felt like it relieved some of the pressure of the tearing, until one day it finally was just that last tear where it basically was top to bottom, just this really big separation. So if you saw me pregnant, people said, oh, I was so cute because the baby was so round. And it was because it was sticking out so far. It looked like I was I was pretty slender, and I looked like I was smuggling a watermelon. And actually, I don't know if it contributed. 2 of my kids were what they call sunny side up. And I think had something to do with the physiology of how they could fit best in there. So really difficult labor and delivery, these giant babies. And by the time last was born, I was just completely had a huge separation. Right. You could physically, not to be gross, when people say, oh, it's cosmetic, you could see my food.
Right. So basic facts are, how old are you?
Now I'm 35. I had my first son when I was in my late 20s, mid 20s on from there.
So by most accounts, you're a wonderfully average woman who had a child starting her 20s, ended in her 30s, had 3 beautiful babies. And as a result of having children, you experience what many women will recognize to be similar in that, number one, you had pain with delivery, pain with the stretching of your abdomen. After you gave birth, you looked like you were still several months pregnant. When you walked and you did exercise, you felt a fair amount of discomfort in your lower back from a lack of ability to engage. And when you lay down and you tried to lift your legs up, you'd see what we refer to kind of like a camel ridging or a hump in the middle of your abdomen, which essentially was the inner abdominal contents bulging through the area where there was no muscle holding it together. So you're very classic. And, maybe you were a little bit more ahead of other women. But what I have found is many women, and as they start to experience this, they'll go to their OB, they'll go to a chiropractor. And the world of mommies is a very, very, how do I say this? It's a very lucrative world because, like babies, mommies need a lot of things. And so there's a lot of things online that are claiming to help address, fix, alleviate diastasis. Essentially, there's a whole world of products and exercises and therapists and things that are designed to figure out a way to fix these torn muscles. So when you were on your journey prior to realizing, oh crap, this is really big, I need surgery, what were some of the things that you saw online that were being advertised or being stated to help this condition?
Right. So you'd see the exercise programs, of course. You saw like I was in that time where like the waist training got really big and they think, oh, maybe it's something I need to wear. Turns out that's the worst thing that you can do, which is one of the sites that stole my image, was someone selling a belly bands product, which is, like you're working on these muscles, so it actually weakens the muscles. So I think that's what's so scary is sometimes they can be taking you the complete opposite direction. A lot of the exercises you find out if you do an exercise program that's catered to diastasis, sometimes the things that you typically do for abs are literally the worst thing that you can do that can make your condition worse. So it's so dangerous if you're going the wrong places. I was fortunate in that my OB recognized this is to the point where you can do physical therapy, but most likely you are going to be a good candidate for surgery. And even my physical therapist, who I thought has the most monetary motivation to convince me physical therapy can fix this, even my physical therapist recommended surgery. But that I think is uncommon. I think a lot would say, oh, just stay with me forever.
So what people are going to so what people are going to find is as follows. You generally start to notice this weakening of your abdominal muscles. It usually isn't like overtly horrible with the first pregnancy. And so you get on this idea that I have weak abs and I need to exercise. So there is an entire universe of individuals who claim to be exercise fitness gurus, from moms of 5 kids who get on and do, squats and lunges, to actual physiology majors, to physical therapists, to all kinds of trainers who state that their exercise program or their way of doing things will magically fix your diastasis. So let's begin by stating facts. Once your muscles are torn apart, that is the connections that hold them together, the fibrous connections that hold the left and right rectus muscles together. Once they are torn, nothing except for suturing them together will ever bring them back together. Let me repeat that so you understand. Nothing will ever bring your muscles back together except for surgically sewing them back together. So what the hell are all these other things doing? So what all these other therapists are doing is they're strengthening possibly your core, that is your obliques, your internal obliques, your external obliques. You still have rectus muscles. They didn't disappear. They haven't gone in the garbage. By strengthening your abdominal wall, your abdomen is able to resist the bulging effect better thereby which making you somewhat flatter, somewhat stronger, and as a result, maybe a little bit less symptoms. What symptoms? Back pain, urinary incontinence, bowel issues. There's all kinds of things that happen to you when your muscles are separated. So when you do all these routines, whether it be from some mom in Idaho who just got blessed because genetically she had 4 kids and has got a flat abdomen, which by the way, she did nothing to earn. That's just genetic. Or you're listening to someone who is a PhD in abdominal wall exercises. It's irrelevant. The fact of the matter is everyone is just giving you strengthening of your abdominal wall. No one is causing your diastasis to go away. Know that for a fact. So after that, after all these training programs, then comes all these devices, and where this whole thing came about, and this, like, Lisa and I had this whole come to Jesus moment, was there was a device, one of these belly bands, which I'll have Lisa describe to you. The image, get this, the image on their advertisement was an image of Lisa's before and after photos from her surgery. Did you hear me? So this site stole, whether it was from her directly or indirectly, irrelevant, they stole her image, her before and after from surgery, which makes her look phenomenal and flat, and stated that that result was as a result of this belly band. Are you guys listening? That's how crazy, egregious, misleading, dishonest the world of DR and DR gimmicks are. So what we're going to do is I want to take a break because I want everyone to sit with this for a second, because to me, it's astonishing. And when we come back, I want to talk about this belt. And then I want to talk about what patients can and can't do to sort of address this DR logically and realistically. And maybe we can shed some light on this topic a little more. So stay tuned. We'll be back with a little bit more of Plastic Surgery Uncensored. Welcome back to the second half of Plastic Surgery Uncensored. I'm here with Lisa, a previous patient of mine, talking about DR, diastasis recti gimmicks. And so when we went to the break, we were talking about this belly band thing that was using your images, surgical images, to sell the product as if that's what the product did. I know you said you had told me you don't know. So what is this belly band thing? And then where was it stolen from? And how did it get to you? Can you tell me the story?
Right. Okay. So from my perspective, one day I got an Instagram message from my friend who said, hey, this big fitness person with over 1 million followers is using your picture to sell her $50 diastasis exercise program. And I hit the floor. I was
Wait,
shaking.
say that again. So an Instagram influencer, some fitness guru, whatever, was selling her exercise program to unsuspecting moms, stating that the results that were being shown, which were your surgical results, and you've never met this lady,
No.
were as a result of her exercise program, and she was charging $50 for this program, correct?
Yes. And it had the term diastasis recti. It was a 12-week diastasis recti program.
Holy F, this is unbelievable.
Yeah. And so
Okay.
and the reason why I found it is not from her directly. Another fitness person who is ethical and is very honest about all these things, didn't know me, but she saw my before and after picture, because that's what it was. It was a before picture and an after picture. It said the word before, seeing my abdomen separated, and then after, I'm flat, right? It's tight. And so she saw this picture and she didn't know me, but she could tell this is the results of surgery. And she's the type of person who says, hey, let's call, you guys need to know this person had surgery. There's nothing wrong with that, but she should not be showing this picture, not even knowing me. And so that's how my friend was alerted, because I've shared my photo on my blog, on my Instagram, saying I've had surgery, because I am not the type of person who would want to deceive women. They need to know, right, what you can get from these results. And so when I went to find this person who had stolen my picture with over 1 million followers,
1 million followers,
over
1 million
1 million
people
followers.
She's influencing 1 million people, of which probably 95% are women, of which probably 90% are women who've had children.
I will tell you, it's in her name, is she's catering to moms.
Right.
And
okay. So
no question that that's what she was going for. And so when I went to look at her, I couldn't see her profile. So I thought, oh, she's gone private. Like she's trying to take care of this. Turns out when someone started tagging me saying, this isn't your picture, this is Money Fit Mom's picture, they blocked me. And they started blocking every single person who was calling them out. Eventually, she took the photo off of Instagram because people who weren't blocked yet could show me. So I thought, well, where else is this? I found her image on her blog selling her program, on Pinterest selling her program. And then eventually, I couldn't message her. She'd blocked me. Eventually, when we started to communicate, when she created an apology, she said, oh, I didn't know you'd had surgery. I stole it from this Belly Band's website. Who stole it from you?
Wait. So the Belly Band site stole it from presumably you, and then she stole it from, so not only is it not from surgery, it's she thought it was from a belly band and she stole it. So the reality is that all of this is nonsense. There is no way in a billion years someone with the degree of diastasis you have, massive separation, loose skin, huge umbilical hernia, is going to have the abdomen you currently do any way other than surgically. Period. End of discussion. Now, you're averse to surgery. You don't believe in it. You're scared of it. It costs too much money. All good. I'm not saying you have to do it. I'm just saying do not go and spend your hard-earned money. And more importantly, then be totally disappointed when you don't get those results. This is the key element. What are they? What's the harm? What's the harm? They sold you a goddamn $50 program and they got you to be active. What's the harm of selling you a belly band? The harm is not the money. The harm is the devastation, the disappointment, the depression when you don't even come close to looking like those images.
Exactly.
Then
and that was, yes. Yeah. That was why I was so open arms, because I, and like everyone else who's in this community, this is not something that, they realized one day and then they went 2 weeks later and had the surgery. This is something we've dealt with for years, right? And women being told on a daily basis, people assuming they're pregnant, it can be extremely devastating to mental health, which I've been really outspoken about my postpartum mental health issues. So to take someone who is already so vulnerable and waste, their money, but their time, and then to put them in jeopardy of thinking, I'm the problem because look at the results she got when she did this program. So I'm just not doing it right. And so that's why when she took the image down, I was like, oh, no harm, no foul. I would not back down, because I'm like, you need to tell every single person who has bought your program, who bought under these misleading circumstances. And if the fact that you felt qualified to do this program and you couldn't recognize that those before and after results were from surgery, I definitely don't think you're qualified to be talking about this, right?
100%. So what makes people qualified is, this is the problem. So there's so many layers to this. Number one, individuals who have DR are in a unique environment because they are more vulnerable than somebody who has diabetes. Because the condition you have, diabetes is a condition, high blood pressure is a condition, a groin hernia is a condition, gallstones is a condition, DR is a legit condition. It's muscle separation, tearing that leads to dysfunction, core instability, and a host of other complications, aside from the fact that you look 2, 3, 4, 5 months pregnant in many instances. So the difference is that you have a lot of emotional component to it. You're married, you have a life partner often, you don't feel as attractive. Prior to having kids, many people looked amazing. Their hard work in terms of eat and diet was working. Now it makes no difference. You have children, you have a sense of guilt. You feel terrible that you're going to spend money. How can I be so vain? I have children I've been doing this a very long time. As close as I can understand the psyche of a woman, I've experienced the devastation that women have. And it usually takes, as you said, a woman many years to come to terms that, what, I need to do this for myself. And usually it's after many years of jumping through a lot of hoops and wasting time. So they waste, let's say, their entire 30s doing all these Mickey Mouse things, physical therapy, yoga, fitness videos, belly bands, organic this, wraps, all this garbage, thinking that it's going to reverse this muscle separation that is literally as if you broke your femur. You broke it. It's broken. It's separated. It's torn. You're not going to fix your femur by willing it or wishing it together. You got to have a rod put in. So I'm proud of you. And the reason why we made this whole segment on it is because, yeah, we can talk about DR all day long, but if you don't know what's out there and where, as you said, what rabbit hole you're going down, you're going to be really misled. What is the feedback you got when you started posting this? Because, you know, you're in the eye of the hurricane, right?
Right. Yeah.
You're a mom, you're in these groups, you did the surgery, you spent time. What happened when everyone realized that this thing was a lie?
Right. So I did receive a lot of support from the fitness community, the people who were more honest, right, about what the limits of exercise were. And I received a lot of support from the diastasis community, the people who've been through this because they know how painful it is. Who I did not receive support from was from this Instagrammer who thought, you need to stop talking about this. You need to bury it. You need to never talk about it again because you're making her feel bad. And I'm thinking, you're making her feel bad. What about all the women who she's misleading? And that's when people started coming after me, calling me a vulture, calling me a drama queen.
Let's talk about that for you.
So
obviously it's a no-brainer. Anybody who's gone through DR would be like, wow, courageous, Lisa, strong for you. Because, you know, this is one of those, I watched a movie last night about DuPont. It was a documentary type movie. I don't remember who was in it, but it was like Mark Ruffalo and whatever. And I love documentaries based on true stories because it shows people that are courageous in real world. And this guy wouldn't stop going after DuPont. They tried to destroy him in his career, but he was trying to bring light to the fact that these scoundrels were doing illegal things and harming people. It's the same thing. You got to have courage. So who were the people that were coming out and saying anything possibly negative? What could you possibly say negative about a person who's showing the truth that this lady is lying about my images?
Right.
What's the negative comment?
They're saying, oh, well, she apologized, so just move on and delete your post, right? Of me calling her out about it and showing this is how far she took it. And the reason why I left it, people are accusing, oh, you're just trying to magnify your influence, right? You're trying to take advantage of this situation. Little do they know, behind the scenes, I am just like curled up in a ball, so stressed about bringing attention to this. And whenever I wanted to back down, I thought of me and every other woman spending those years in such a terrible, vulnerable place. So eventually, you know, we were able to sort of bury the hatchet. And the reason why is because she offered to donate to a charity of my choice. And I actually matched her donation. And she asked what charity I want to donate to. And we donated to a postpartum mental health charity, which, you know, Postpartum Support International. And I was trying to make a point that this isn't about tight abs or whatever. You are really messing with people. This is not about your $50 program. This is about vulnerable women not wanting to waste time and energy on things that are not going to help them. Because as you know, surgery is a huge commitment, physically, financially, right? It's not something to be taken lightly, but at the same time, like we're busy moms. We do not have the time and energy to waste on something that is not only not going to help us, but actually going to hurt us in the long run when we don't get those results. And so that was why I fought it. And I left. The post is up to this day. I have a link to her apology so she can, you know, do her thing. The reason why I left it is because I got messages saying that she had done this before.
Oh, for sure she's not. Listen. There's
And
no way in a billion years. There's no way in a billion years she didn't know. She literally told you, I didn't know it was your surgical result. I stole it from the belly band. So it doesn't matter if I was going in to steal gold and I came out with dollar bills. You went in to steal. I mean, the idea is you were misleading people that, let's say the reality is that the belly band created the results, not her her fitness program. Would it be any less egregious? No, she's misleading people that she's able to get something that she can't. So the purpose of this conversation today is not to state that every woman with DR needs to run out and get surgery. Let's reiterate, that's not the purpose of this conversation. The purpose of this conversation is for individuals with DR, which varies greatly from mild, moderate, and severe, to recognize, number one, what it is that they have, a condition that is due to muscle tearing and separation, akin to breaking your femur, and recognizing what things do what in terms of treatment, and then choosing what's best for them based on their financial, social, emotional abilities, and knowing what to expect. So if you are with mild diastasis, you have a busy life, it's not bothering you that much, and you want to engage in a very thorough and intelligent fitness program that will, in essence, strengthen your entire core, whereby which creating support so that your DR, which is never being fixed, is less of a problem, then good on you. But if you have severe DR and you are miserable and you are being told that these other nonsensical things are the holy grail, then you are being lied to. And that is the purpose of this podcast, is for you to understand what is truly possible and what's not. So, I'm proud of you, Lisa. You reached out to me and you said, hey, just FYI, Dr. Rahban, I just wanted to share this with you. And I was like, we got to do a podcast on this one. This one is too important to just kind of like, say it in passing.
Right.
Well,
that's my thing, is empowering women. Mine is through, financial knowledge, but I had one therapist tell me once that I am obsessed with truth. And so if you want to get me riled up, lie to people, especially vulnerable people, and I'm all over it. So, and I knew you would feel the same way. And so,
this is the right platform, right? This platform is designed to educate people, and there's only one type of truth. It's the only truth. There's no kind of truth. There's no sort of truth. It is just the truth. So people can find you. You do a lot of empowering for moms, and in the financial sector, it's at Money Fit Moms. That's MONEYFITMOMS. Lisa, it is always a pleasure. I'm sure this will not be our last podcast, because you were with me on the last DR. DR is such an important subject matter that we constantly revisit. And we love to see you again. And best of luck on your journey. Thank you for sharing it and being courageous.
And thank you so much. I'm coming up on my 2-year anniversary of the surgery, and I tell people all the time, I've never hesitated of whether it was worthwhile, and I got the best, and I'm really happy with my results. So thank you. It has made a significant positive impact on my life. So thank you.
Awesome. And you don't forget to come visit me, because I like to see you guys.
I know. COVID hit at my 6-week checkup, and then the world.
Yeah, well, don't forget about us. Come on, we're not too far away. We're just a puddle jump away. All right, guys, that wraps up yet another episode of Plastic Surgery Uncensored. I'm your host, Dr. Rady Rahban. Please, if you like our show, if you find it entertaining, if you find it educational, share it, download it, subscribe it, and follow us. Until next time, signing off.
Thank you for listening to Plastic Surgery Uncensored with Dr. Rady Rahban. We would love your feedback. If you enjoyed this episode, or if you find our podcast helpful, tell us why. Leave us a review and make sure you subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. If you have a topic you would like for us to discuss in an upcoming episode, please reach out to us on Instagram at Dr. Rady Rahban, on Facebook at Rady Rahban, or at RadyRahban.com.